I don't think I'll be forgetting this draft for some time. Which picks were the best, and which ones were the worst?
He was the 3,800th ranked high school player who just got drafted in the first round.
With the 2022 draft now in the books, it's time for our annual list of the 5 best and worst picks from this year's class. Let's get right to it. Best, Kyle Hamilton. The player, the draft spot, the team. There is not one thing to dislike about the Baltimore Ravens picking Kyle Hamilton at number 14 overall. Hamilton was a top 5 prospect heading into this draft, but teams rarely value safeties enough to select them that early. Plus, the team that picked ahead of Baltimore had other pressing needs. Scouts and pundits call the safety out of Notre Dame a unicorn. He's the complete package with his 6'4", 220-pound frame, along with his incredible range, speed, and athleticism. Hamilton quickly closes spaces, can match up with opposing tight ends and slot receivers, and of course, he is a top-tier ball hawker. There is no better fit for Hamilton than the Ravens, who constantly boast one of the league's elite secondaries. All-pros Marlon Humphrey Jr. and Marcus Peters are the NFL's best cornerback duo, and the signing of Marcus Williams gives Baltimore the league's top safety pairing. It is unfair how Baltimore, of all teams, got to take Hamilton without moving up. No team drafts and develops first-round defensive talents better than Baltimore. He's going to be a stud right away, and we wish teams good luck in throwing against this defense that features 4 world-class defensive backs. All in all, it was a great weekend to be a Ravens fan. Worst, Cole Strange. Was there a single mock draft throughout the 2021 season and 2022 offseason that even had Strange going in round 1? We don't recall any. But at any rate, the New England Patriots reached for the Chattanooga product in the number 29 spot. So why don't we like this pick? Well, Bill Belichick could have easily traded down and gotten Strange later. Which other team would have realistically wanted him before the mid to late portion of round 2? The Patriots should have addressed the secondary or front 7 instead with their first round pick. Nakobe Dean, George Karlaftis, Dax Hill, Kyler Gordon, and Roger McCreary would have all been better value picks than Strange. And don't forget that the Patriots traded away veteran stalwart Shaq Mason to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for a 5th-round pick. Why not just keep a proven commodity in Mason and use your first-rounder on someone else? Add it all up, and it just feels like New England wasted valuable resources in this draft. Best, Evan Neal. The stud offensive tackle out of Alabama could have been a top 3 selection, but he ended up falling to the New York Giants in the number 7 spot. Rookie GM Joe Shane was very happy to wait patiently for a tackle after taking defensive end Kayvon Thibodeau 5th overall, and, well, it paid off. The previous Giants regime loved overthinking things and reaching for guys in round 1. But Dave Gettleman's successor didn't get cute with it. He knew that the O-line was a priority, and Shane came away with one of the big 3 offensive linemen of this class. We just love the pick in every way imaginable. The Giants O-line has been atrocious just forever. But Neal and a young, rising star, Andrew Thomas, suddenly give Big Blue 2 franchise cornerstones in the trenches. The Giants are giving both Barkley and Jones 1 more year to prove themselves. Solidifying the O-line was the only way to get proper evaluations of both players in 2022. Getting Neal checks off New York's main organizational need, and if he develops as expected, the Giants will soon boast one of the league's top duos at the offensive tackle position. New York fans should be coming out of this draft feeling better than they ever did under the last front office regime. Worst, Alante Taylor. We absolutely loved what the New Orleans Saints did in round 1 by getting receiver Chris Olave and offensive tackle Trevor Penning. All the holes on offense have now been filled, and they can expect vast improvement with a healthy Jameis Winston now back in the fold. That said, we really didn't like the reach of Alante Taylor in the number 49 spot. With Marshawn Lattimore, CJ Gardner-Johnson, Marcus May, Paulson Debo, and now all-pro safety Tyrann Mathieu in the fold, the secondary was the least of New Orleans' concerns. An extra offensive lineman, pass rusher, receiver, or even Malik Willis or Desmond Ridder would have been a better pick here. More polished prospects like George Pickens, Skye Moore, Troy Anderson, Drake Jackson, Nakobe Dean, and Bernard Raymond were also still available when the Saints made this pick. Like the Patriots with Strange, Nola could have probably traded down to get Taylor later. Even if he becomes a starter, what are the odds he'll move the needle that much on an already deep New Orleans secondary? Best, Devin Lloyd. Lloyd, like Kyle Hamilton, was expected by many to go much much earlier in this draft. But the Jacksonville Jaguars, who selected Travon Walker first overall, had to trade up with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to get the workhorse linebacker out of Utah. With Walker and Lloyd joining star pass rusher Josh Allen in Duval County, the Jaguars might boast a top 5 front 7 in no time. Lloyd is a game wrecker who flies all across the field, having racked up 7 sacks, 4 interceptions, and 22 tackles for loss in his final collegiate season. That short-lived but incredibly dominant Saxonville defense was largely carried by the linebacker duo of Telvin Smith and Miles Jack. Now they have Lloyd, Walker, and the versatile Allen to lead the way. Doug Peterson and defensive coordinator Mike Caldwell have to be thrilled with the group they're now leading. Worst. Tyekwon Thornton. If there is one flaw on Bill Belichick's resume, it is his inability to draft stud receivers. But that is not the main reason why we don't like the decision to take Baylor wideout Tyekwon Thornton with the number 50 pick. Rather, it's because the Patriots didn't need a receiver at this stage. They already traded for former Miami standout Devonte Parker. He, Jacoby Myers, Kendrick Bourne, Nelson Aguilar, and Hunter Henry give Mac Jones enough weapons. Where is Thornton gonna fit on this roster? As we said with the strange entry, New England failed to address needs on the defensive side of the ball here. Even if Thornton is an impact player in Foxborough, he will only be able to do so much in a crowded receiver room. Is Thornton really going to be that much of a difference maker? I don't think so. Belichick's bad track record of drafting receivers suggests he won't. And again, couldn't Belichick have at least thought about trading down to get Thornton here?
Our draft predictor had an 89% chance he'd still be available deep into the 3rd round.
Best, Skye Moore. Rather than pay Tyreek Hill top dollar, Brett Veach decided to spread that money across multiple areas. It's hard not to be a fan of his offseason work. Losing Hill hurts, but the signings of Marquez Valdes-Scantling and Juju Smith-Schuster will help offset the loss. But the crown jewel of offseason additions on the offensive side of the ball for KC was 2nd-round pick Skye Moore. Moore was widely expected to be gone by the early 2nd round. But the Chiefs stayed patient and got the Western Michigan product in the 54th spot. That was amazing value for a speedy deep threat who would make an immediate impact on the Patrick Mahomes-led offense. Mahomes was often too reliant on Hill and Travis Kelce. Now opposing defenses have to account for Kelce, the deep threat game of Moore, and Valdes-Scantling, and a crafty route running brought to you by Smith-Schuster. Veach's history of finding so many studs outside of round 1, like Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, L'Jarius Sneed, and Juan Thornhill, should leave Chiefs fans optimistic about the Moore selection. Expect big-time results right away. Worst. Tyrion Davis-Price. The trade-up for Trey Lance left the 49ers with very limited draft capital this year. We love to pick up a pass-rushing standout Drake Jackson in round 2, but why did John Lynch and company feel inclined to spend a valuable 3rd-rounder on a running back? Only 6 teams had more rushing yards in 2021 than the 49ers. 3rd-round rookie Trey Sermon struggled, but 6th-round pick Elijah Mitchell looked like a Pro Bowler when he had the ball. And when healthy, Jeff Wilson Jr. is an explosive playmaker in the backfield. Not to mention Trey Lance, who brings a dual-threat game to the offense as well. So, why did the 49ers draft Davis-Price? This is nothing against the LSU star, who had 1,003 yards and 6 rushing touchdowns last season. But you don't need a 4th running back on your depth chart. Another wide receiver, offensive lineman, or defensive back could have worked very well here. Kyle Shanahan, of all people, should know that literally any NFL running back can flourish in his offense. So, why spend the number 93 selection on Davis-Price? Even if he's as good as advertised, is he really that much of an upgrade over Mitchell, Sermon, and Wilson? Best, Malik Willis. Picking Willis in round 1 would have been a giant risk that ultimately no team wanted to take. Getting him in round 2 would have been good value. Or you can be like the Tennessee Titans and get him 86 overall. Willis's fall to round 3 was one of the more stunning developments of the 2022 draft. But fortunately for the Liberty product, he landed in a pretty good place. The Tennessee Titans are understandably not committing long-term to the inconsistent Ryan Tannehill, whose lackluster play in the playoffs led to one-and-done exits in the last 2 postseasons. His age is also concerning, and if Mike Vrabel doesn't trust Tannehill to shine long-term, why not look for a potential successor now? Tannehill is still good enough to keep the Titans in playoff contention. Absolutely no doubt about that. So the Titans can at least let Willis sit for a year or 2 before they consider a switch, though it'll obviously depend on Tannehill's play. Mike Vrabel can also use Willis sparingly and get creative in his play calling, like the Saints do with Taysom Hill or the 49ers with Lance last season. A dual-threat QB like Willis can excel in short yardage and goal-to-go situations, and keep defenses guessing. Even if Willis doesn't become an impact player in Music City, so what? It's only a 3rd-round pick, and his skill set is too great to pass up. We don't know how many effective years Derrick Henry has left, but the idea of him and Willis in the same offense should terrify opposing defenses. The Titans had nothing to lose by taking a flyer on Willis, so do not be surprised if this guy ends up being the #1 steal of this draft. Worst, Devonte Wyatt. Green Bay's decision to draft Wyatt left us puzzled for a variety of reasons. So they already spent a first rounder on Quay Walker, adding more depth to a stout front seven that already had Kenny Clark, Preston Smith, Devondre Campbell, and Rashawn Gary. But why spend another first rounder on your front seven? The Packers found their receiver, Christian Watson, in round 2. Why not take 2 receivers in the early rounds though? Or grab an offensive lineman or stud defensive back like Lewis Seen or Roger McCreary? Wyatt could have gone earlier in the draft if not for some off-the-field concerns. And he'll also be 24 years of age as a rookie, which is kinda old for a first-year player these days. Did you know Chase Young is a year younger than Wyatt? Just to sort of put things into perspective for ya. There are just way too many question marks around Wyatt. Green Bay had other areas in need of improvement across the roster, and their deep front seven was not one of them. For a team that is strictly in win-now mode with Aaron Rodgers, taking a guy like Wyatt for the future just doesn't make any sense. But what were some other great picks in the 2022 NFL Draft, and which other ones were among the worst? Join us in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton. And hey, we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea, because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.